Another week, another set of One Piece episodes, this time episodes 56 to 61. So I have covered the entirety of this remaining filler arc. My understanding is that I have finished, at least according to Crunchyroll, the East Blue Saga, which is very exciting. I finally get to go to brand new stuff for, I assume, the rest of this entire show. I am very excited. But anyway, I have slightly changed up my format. It's pretty much going to be the exact same, but it's going to look a little bit different. There's basically no differences whatsoever in terms of what I actually say, though. But you know, I've separated this into slides. You can see, I don't know where I'm pointing, but somewhere here there's slides, but yeah. So overall, what I am basically covering is like I said, the remainder of the filler arc, but my understanding would be that the final half of the final episode has to be canon. There is no chance that this is not canon because this is like the entering of the Grand Line, basically. So my thoughts on all this are that it was pretty good. Like, it's separated into two things. We're going to talk about the Lost Island arc stuff, and then we're going to talk about the stuff at the end, which is, like, I assume more canon. But overall, the Lost Island stuff was pretty good. Like, I enjoyed it. It felt like a very natural fit for One Piece. Like, if you didn't tell me that this was filler, I'd completely believe that this was in the manga. There is nothing that makes me doubt that this is, like, a real part of the One Piece story. So yeah, in that regard, it really succeeded, and I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. But the best stuff was definitely the Grand Line stuff at the end. It was so good. Just everything about it, just how cool it was, and we'll talk about it when we get to it, but oh my goodness, it's so exciting to finally enter the Grand Line that I've heard about, not only for, say, 61 episodes at this point, but also just, like, for many years at this point. Like, I've heard about it since I watched the live action for the first time, but I've been waiting to finally get there, so here I am. I'm very excited. But the first thing to talk about is wrapping up the Lost Island arc. So there's 4 things that I want to talk about. One of them is miscellaneous. So I have 3, I guess, points that I actually want to say. One of them is that the adventure and exploration elements of this arc were really good. I actually like this quite a bit. This feels the most like adventure exploration of all the One Piece arcs so far. All the rest have been more like, I guess, either character focused or like fight focused, like stuff like that. Whereas this one was like, oh, we're gonna adventure, we're gonna look for this island, there's like dragons and stuff, like all of this stuff I think is really good. The highlight was, there was like an episode or two where you enter, basically they're trying to search for this lost island, right? That's the whole point of this arc. If I were to give it a name, I'm still gonna probably call it the Lost Island. I have no idea what the actual name is, if there is one. But there is a section of this where they are literally just trying to find the island, and they find this like mirror-like, like mirage hiding kind of thing that makes you invisible when you go past it. And they go past it, I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? This is crazy. I don't know what anything could be on the other side of this thing. And then it turns out on the other side of that is like an island that is like nice and calm, and there's no storm or anything like that, but it's surrounded by a giant storm. And when you go to the island, there's like, it's an abandoned like city, and there's like all these like remnants of like lives of people who used to live there. And they go into this like, I don't know, this temple like place, and there's like artwork, like ancient artwork of the dragons and stuff. I'm like, this is like super cool. So yeah, all of that stuff was really good, like adventure wise. Then there was like the bit at the end where like the Lost Island, like it comes out of the water, and you see what it looks like, and there's like fossilized dragons there, and all of that was awesome. And even just like the fantasy or like adventure element of these dragons, that at the end you get the reveal that the dragons do exist. Firstly, obviously, like we got one of them here, but there is still a large amount of them that exist. But also, they're not living for 1,000 years, although they do live for 1,000 years. But the name, like millennial dragons or whatever, comes from the fact that they migrate around the world, and they return to this sunken island every 1,000 years. So that was really cool too, like a little adventure. Like, oh, look at this, there's like a weird part of the One Piece world, which is that there's an island that only pops up every 1,000 years because these kind of dragons summon it during their migration pattern, you know? So all of this was really, really good. The adventure stuff, I actually enjoyed this a lot. I'm hoping we get more stuff like this, like actual canon stuff, not filler stuff, you know, that is going to be adventure. I'm sure there will be. This is a very long show, but yeah, this stuff was really good. The next thing I want to say is just about Apis, who's the main, she basically is the character that is the center of this arc. She's the new addition to the crew that is basically leading us, and the whole point is that it's her and her old dragon, which she called Ryuji, I think, or Ryu, and then G, I think, means like grandpa or something like that. But she is the center of this, and she's good. I enjoy her. She, like, there's even like there's not really too much to this like set of episodes in terms of emotions or anything, but she does have a really good character moment at the end, which is that it's not really about her, I guess, but it is like the fact that she, all right, let me just say it, which is that when the dragon's dying, and it's like it's an old dragon who's lived for like 1,000 years or whatever, or maybe more, the dragon tells Luffy, I think, that, oh my goodness, you know, I've lived a long time, but my final year on this earth with Apis was my favorite time in my whole life. And I'm like, oh, that's super cute. It doesn't really have much to do with her character, I guess, but like it's a cute moment that is facilitated by the relationship between Apis and Ryuji, right? So I like that. I'm glad she's here. But more so than that, There's two additional things. One is that she has a very funny relationship with Usopp, which is that sometimes she's in absolute awe at Usopp and is amazed when he like says these grand things like, you know, I'm gonna go take that ship on my own, or blah 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 blah, whatever. Usopp lies, you know. She's amazed by that, but then half the time she's also mad at Usopp, and hey, this is a good dynamic. I love it. So that was really good. But the real reason that why she is so great in these set of episodes is that we get to see. We have like a character that is like giving reaction shots to like seeing our amazing crew actually doing things. Like one of the coolest moments is when Luffy and Sanji and Zoro, they basically go and take over a ship and like wipe out all the people on that ship basically. And Zoro's chopping the metal chains, like they're giant, and Asamo is chopping them because his sword can cut through anything. And Apis is like shocked. She's like, oh my God, these people are crazy. I didn't know they were so strong. And I'm like, yes, I'm glad there's a character here to react this way. And so Apis was pretty good. Nothing amazing, you know, but you know, good. I was glad she was there. Then the final thing to talk about this arc, or this filler arc, was the villains, which weren't particularly the best. I don't think they're going to be very memorable. I don't think I'll ever think about them again. There's basically two of them. There is the main Commodore Nelson, who's the big fat guy I think I talked about last time. He's basically, I don't know what a Commodore is, but he's part of the Marines, I assume. And he basically wants immortality, and for that end, he hires a mercenary, or like I don't think it was a bounty hunter, I think it was a mercenary called Eric the Whirlwind. And these are our two villains, I guess, right? Firstly, Commodore Nelson is just, there's nothing to him. He's fat and he is a villain. He shoots cannonballs at the dragon. He doesn't care if it dies, blah, 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 whatever, you get the point. The only cool thing about him is this shot here. I wish I knew whether the point left or right. I should look this up for next time. But it's the shot on the screen, which is that there's a reveal that he has like 50 ships behind him. And it's like a cool moment. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And then Eric at the same time is like glazing this guy, where it's like, that Commodore Nelson, he seems kind of useless and pathetic, but when he's on the ocean, he's in his domain. And I'm like, oh my God, true. We love Commodore Nelson, but he was basically very boring with the one exception of this cool moment. So yeah. Then Eric the Whirlwind, he ate the sickle fruit, and there is a continuous gag in this set of episodes where everyone mishears it and calls it the sicko fruit. And then Luffy calls him, what was it? I have it written down somewhere. Eric the Sicko. So basically, I love this gag surrounding him. That is the best thing about him. Him as a character is very boring. His design is like fine. It looks like a One Piece design. He's got like purple long hair or something like that. His power is okay. He basically just has wind that cuts you up. But yeah, not really too much to him, but the gag around his name is really good, so I like that. I think also one more thing is that there is an additional character who's kind of like a villain, but not really, which is that the ship that Eric is on has a captain. It's not Captain Commodore Nelson or whatever. He's on like a separate ship. But the ship that Eric is on, I like the dynamic he has with the captain, which is that the captain doesn't really like Eric. There are like small moments where he's like kind of mad at him, or not mad, but like upset with him or whatever. And when he comes back from the island empty-handed, he basically says like, "Oh, are you empty-handed?" or whatever. And it's like very funny because he's being mean to him. So that dynamic was okay. But the villains for this part were not particularly strong at all. But yeah. Now the last thing is just, a bunch of miscellaneous stuff for this arc. One of them is that Luffy, power scaling wise, was pretty crazy in this arc. He does two crazy things, which are like, I assume he will never do these things again in canon, but you never know. One of them is that he grabs Zoro, which is in this image here, from literally across an entire mountain island. He grabs him from the top of a mountain. It's crazy. Like the distance he pulls him is insane. So I don't think he'll ever do this again. It was a crazy power scaling thing, but yeah. And the other thing he does is that he jumps in the sky and then propels to the ground, and using his leg by just kicking, he cuts a ship in half. And it is crazy. Not unbelievable. Like I can definitely believe he can do that, but it is a crazy power scaling thing, He just took down a ship by kicking it with his leg. So yeah, that's the first miscellaneous thing. The other thing is that Sanji made the point that I made last time, and I felt so seen and heard, and I was like, Sanji, you're so right. Which is that he says that like initially when the other characters besides Nami and Luffy who'd already seen the dragon, when everyone else sees the dragon, they're all freaking out. And then Sanji's like, well, I suppose if there are the deep sea kings, then we shouldn't be that surprised that there's a dragon too. And I'm like, sure, that's a good point. The deep sea kings are way crazier than this dragon. So it makes sense that we wouldn't be that surprised. So we love Sanji in that moment. Another small thing was that some of the Marines didn't know what a devil fruit was, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, Not every person in the world knows what a devil fruit is, and a small little bit of world building. And then my final miscellaneous note is that Luffy, just at random points in this, could speak to the dragon, like mentally, like he could understand what the dragon is saying. It's fine. Like, I guess I like it. Like, I could imagine Luffy doing this, and he does do it. But yeah, I just thought it was worth pointing out, I guess, which is that randomly he develops the ability. It is kind of like a gag where the character's like, how are you doing that? It's like, I have no idea. I could just do it. I'm like, yeah, true, I guess you can, and I can definitely believe that you can. But yeah, that was the Lost Island arc. My goodness. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is entering the Grand Line. Oh my goodness, this was so exciting. Firstly, it's like, It's so cool of a concept. I'm sure we've heard about this stuff before, but actually getting it fleshed out and like seeing what it looks like is super cool. Like the idea of having all the 4 oceans having their currents all meet at one spot, and that funneling into one particular line, which is the Grand Line, is a super cool like world building, like world design kind of idea. So even just that on its own, is really cool. Like the mountains with 4 entrances and 1 exit is super cool. Then we get we see what it looks like, which is that it has like, firstly, the water going up in steps is like super cool. It doesn't just like naturally flow up. It's like, it goes up like in a staircase or something like that, which is awesome. Then there's also these like gates which are on top of it, which were obviously, I would assume, man-made, which is like, oh, who built this? Like, why is this here? Like, what was it? Who were the designers of this Grand Line like entrance or whatever? Or maybe it'd be kind of interesting if it was natural and it's like, whoa, what is the world of One Piece where like things like this can naturally occur? But so that's just like an interesting mystery, like what a cool design idea to like have these gates to go up. There's just the fact of how narrow it is, like to get there, like the entrance to the Grand Line. For some reason, I just assumed it would be like a bit more open. Like you just, maybe the current is a bit rough and it's like stormy or whatever. But no, it's literally like as wide as the ship. And if you had a wider ship, you're not making it up. So that was super cool. And then just the fact that they're going so high up. I think I have a picture for this. Yeah, like this. Like they're literally going to the top of a mountain. It's super cool. Now, it would be the craziest thing in the world if this isn't canon. And then I go next episode and we like redo it and it looks completely different. I'm going to be so mad because this was super, super, super cool. But yeah. Now, there's 2 more things to say about this, which is, I don't know if I have any pictures for this. Oh, I do, which is that Eric the Sicker, or Eric whatever, the Whirlwind, whatever his actual name is, he comes back for like 2 seconds in this stretch of like, after the whole filler is done, he shows back up on the boat after they're ascending the Grand Line. I'm like, what the hell is this? Initially, I was like, oh my god, why are we doing this? Like, we're ruining the moment here, where I was so excited to start the Grand Line. But then Nami tricks him by being like, hey, look, it's a dragonite. And she like points and he looks and she kicks his leg and he falls into the ocean and dies. And I'm like, this is crazy. So it was okay, that made it worth it. But initially I was like, god damn it, why are we injecting this moment of comedy and this otherwise really cool like moment? But then it was actually very funny with the Nami stuff. So I'm okay with it now, But yeah. Then the final question I have, or the final thing I just want to say in general, is I wonder how, either it's like my misunderstanding and I'm not fully understanding what's happening here to like get to the Grand Line, but if I'm understanding things correctly, and the way you get to the Grand Line is like through one of these 4 channels, and that all funnels into one directional like flow, which sends you into the Grand Line, which is surrounded by the calm, whatever they called it, the calm or whatever, it had some name, I don't remember exactly what, the calm zone or something like that. How on earth do you get back? Like, how do you get back to the East Blue from the Grand Line? Do you have to literally like sail around the entire world? Because that'd be kind of cool. Or maybe there's like some obvious thing that I've just missed or like not understanding. But yeah, that is my question at the moment, which is like, oh, now that you're on the Grand Line, like how the hell do you get back? You're obviously not going back down that that mountain. Like that's not possible. Like abandon your ship or something like that and get picked up on the other side, or yeah, I don't know. But it is an interesting mystery that I'm sure one day will be answered. Or maybe it's not a mystery and I've just missed the answer that has already been put in front of me. But yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's all I've got. This was a good set of episodes, despite it being filler, but I am very excited for the future of this show. Yeah. Also, I guess, like, I know that this is, according to Crunchyroll at least, this is the end of the East Blue Saga. I truly, at this point, I have no idea what the next one is, like, called, or how long it is, or what's in it. I would assume it's called the Grand Line Saga, would be my guess, but also, like, the rest of the show could be like the Grand Line Saga. I truly don't know. I know that, like, there is only one thing, as far as I'm remembering, which hasn't happened yet, which is the Luffy Grandpa storyline, which I think his name was Garp, if I'm remembering correctly. So I don't know if that's gonna happen soon, or if that's, like, way later. There's obviously there's a lot of stuff I know about One Piece, like random things. Like I know Nico Robin, I know it's not Chopper, is it? That's the Star Wars guy. There's a deer thing. I feel like it is Chopper, but it doesn't feel, I know there's like a deer thing, okay? I know that like thanks to the latest JJK episode, I know there's a character called Whitebeard, and apparently based on every reactor who was comparing Uro's powers to Whitebeard, I assume Whitebeard can like manipulate the sky or something like that, like the JJK character. I don't know. I know the One Piece is real. I know that meme. I know the names of arcs like Alabasta, Enies Lobby, Wano. I know there's something called Gear 5, and I'm pretty sure I've seen its design. Like there are random things like throughout the rest of One Piece that I have seen and I am familiar with. It's not a show that I'm completely blind, but I am quite blind. Like I truly, there is a lot of stuff I don't know. Yeah, but what is next? I don't know. I could not even possibly guess. So I'm excited to find out. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe right now and see you next time.